All right, welcome to another episode of the Motor City wow. Let's just talk about Motor City Metrics and the Tiger Mileage Report podcast here at tigersmlreport.com. I am Rohelic, still alongside Ms. Brandon today. Chris Brown will be with us shortly, as it was a Tigers want to forget what happened in Miami. The South Beach diet thing, it was a bad thing for the Tigers, and it was a really ugly series, and we'll talk about that. Lakeland and West Michigan are one win away from winning a title, and the Seawolves kick off their quest for a three-peat starting tomorrow against Altoona, and we'll be talking that series. And so if you are a Patreon member, by the way, a paid Patreon member, we just posted a Eastern League playoff preview, Chris and I, Brown and Castillo kind of thing. So if you are subscribed to our feed right there, you'll be getting that right now. So, but yeah, the series this weekend, Brandon, it was interesting in a lot of ways. I mean, we all got the holy crap, Terry Scooble might be out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Jump scares, nightmares. And then, Jose Urquidy made an appearance, and you kind of felt good about that. And then Sunday's game was one of the strangest games I've seen. I couldn't even celebrate a 2-0 victory the way they won that game.
Yeah, I mean, they did not do anything well. Like the entire series long, there wasn't a whole lot of good that you could put to it. I mean, defensively they were mostly fine. I guess if I wanted to like pick it a silver lining, like okay, it's nice to have Parker back in center sometimes. I guess if there's a silver lining in general, it's Parker Meadows right now. Like Parker Meadows is hitting, not too much else on the offensive side is going well at all. They scared when Tarek Skubal went down pretty much, or came out of the game, it was pretty much like, well, season's over, like that's a wrap. We had a good time. We'll take our little shot in the postseason and see what happens, but we're cooked. And then, a day later, it's like, okay, he's going to be fine. And then, okay, Kyle Finnegan's supposed to be back this week. And I don't know what to feel. I don't know how to process this team at this point in the season. It's been, over 2 months now that they're just kind of staggering to the stretch here. And staggering might be an exaggeration. They're playing, 500-ish ball, but after the first half, that's pretty disappointing. And you're kind of been waiting the whole time, as we keep talking about, for some kind of spark to kick in and then to get their act together and, get on some kind of a roll late in the season that we can all feel good going into the postseason. Instead, the Weasels in Cleveland have snuck up, just close enough to where you can actually, still smell them from a distance. And we're going to play them 6 games. We're going to play the Braves. We're going to play the Red Sox. And none of those series is necessarily easy. And we've had our problems with Cleveland. We didn't so much this year, but, that's obviously been the team that kind of haunts our dreams the past couple of years. And here we are again, playing them 6 games with them, 6.5 games behind us. And the odds that they catch the Tigers are slim, but because we're playing them face to face, and because the Tigers haven't been able to get not only haven't been able to get any separation, but they've gotten reeled in again a little bit more, they're right there. And should some catastrophe befall this team and they go 1-5 against the Guardians, all of a sudden we're going to be sweating it a little bit. And, the ultimate test of a baseball team is the regular season still,
Yes.
Baseball in a series of any length, even a 7-game series, is still kind of a crapshoot. We all know that. We all know the postseason is a tournament added on at the end. It's not like the old days where the best 2 teams kind of went at it in the World Series and decided the matter. So I don't know, quite how to feel about this team. I mean, obviously, if we step way back, it's been a good season. They built on something from last year's run at the end of the year. They didn't just come out and lay an egg this season. But watching them just flail, and a lot of the guys that, look to be coming around early this spring, kind of struggling. Doesn't feel great. It's a little too early to start thinking about the off season and how we're going to evaluate this entire season. And by the time the postseason's over, we'll feel differently anyway. But it hasn't gone well. So, you know, fortunately, Tarek Skubal apparently is fine. I don't know what was wrong with him. I don't know how that explains him putting up the worst start basically of his season. Right as we're heading toward the postseason, there was no discussion of that. We're just happy he's healthy and is going to be able to go. But it's just awkward. It's been really. I mean, this doesn't really affect me very much because our traffic has been so strong the last couple of years. But watching the traffic collapse, in part because the NFL is back and that's natural, but also because people are just sort of like holding onto their butts with the Tigers and don't really want to look and are like peeking through, their fingers at this team right now, hoping they don't just, get dusted immediately in the postseason in embarrassing fashion is not really the way we wanted this to come to fruition at the end of the year. And I don't know. Just have to take the ride and see how it goes. But I don't think anybody's feeling real confident right now. That's for sure.
No, it's like it's the feeling that when you have to go number two really bad and you're running to like you're running home, you have to beat traffic, and you know that it's basically you're you're running to the bathroom, and that's the kind of the feeling I have right now with this whole thing because it's just been here they are. They took care of business against the Yankees, but we were talking about this beforehand. Every series you can't take it doesn't matter the record. The Marlins were going to be a pain because they have guys that can do that.
Right.
And sure as I'll get out. That's what happened, and that happened. The extra innings game was really bizarre. That as a game, I thought that the Tigers should have won, and
Yep.
they didn't. And then the home run was just like the giant fu to the fans for that.
Yep.
And so even with you're talking about the NFL and the Lions right now. Yeah, the Lions are like on Sunday. I think it was like 4,000 fans showed up in West Michigan because of the Lions. That's how much impactful football is. And so
Yep.
the one thing that, especially in the series against Cleveland, you have a chance to, if the Tigers can take care of business before Sunday, because another football Sunday, then I think I will thank you because the traffic will be better, and Brandon will thank you. But it's also the thing is with Cleveland. The funny thing is that they basically gave up at the deadline. They gave it up. They I think Santana cleared waivers. I think it was, or they designated him for assignment.
Yep.
And Kansas City's been like, I mean, all because again, Kevin Witt Jr.'s back has been dealing with tightness, so he's probably not been the same player. But good God, man, like Cleveland is just Cleveland. Look, and I know people are giving me.
I think Cleveland don't they still have a negative run differential at this point?
Yes.
I think they do.
Yeah.
How are they doing this?
Yeah.
Normally you can understand, like they're going to pitch well, the defense is killer, they're going to scratch out runs, they're pesky, they don't strike out that much, all that business, but they're not even doing much of that. It's just they're just managing to win games, and credit to them because they haven't given up, and it looked like they would. The Tigers looked like they gave up last year, and they didn't. So,
Yeah.
I guess turnabout is fair play, but it just none of this feels inspiring. If the Tigers were storming down the stretch and everyone was excited, the traffic wouldn't be this way. Despite the NFL being back and the Lions, being watchable and exciting to some degree, and us, having cautious hopes for them this year. So, it's kind of a combo meal. Like some of it is the circumstance, but some of it is that the Tigers are just kind of like, making everybody wince. You're not as excited to watch them as you are just like hoping they don't screw this up. And that's kind of where we've been now. Since after the All-Star break, they went into that 2-week disastrous swoon, and that sucked. But they played quite a bit better in August. I think they were 4 games over 500 in August, and we like starting to feel better. Like, okay, maybe they put together a little run here at the end, and we're all right. But they're not. They're just not doing that. And if things go as well as I can hope right now, they're going to finish the month of September with a 500 record. The silver lining, if there is one, is that the American League kind of sucks, and Yordan Alvarez is apparently injured again tonight on a slide into home plate, so he might be out. None of these teams look that good. Toronto's managed to kind of hold the line and do what we couldn't, so you got to look at them as the favorites now. But they're not exactly an intimidating juggernaut of a team. So I don't know. We can feel better about it for that reason, I guess. But yeah, it's just hard to feel great about the Tigers right now in this after the season they've had, this should be a team that you feel pretty good about, both now and long term. As we talk about the farm system every week, there's a lot to look forward to. But yeah, right now the vibes are poor.
Well, no, and you
Mostly
know,
poor.
and the other thing too is like you look out west, Mariners are back up on top, but
Yeah.
the Rangers are back there chilling 3 games back. They were within a game a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
The Rangers are not going away either. So
Yeah, it looked like the Mariners were going to blow it again, as
yeah,
usual, and then they kind of hit the gas pedal. So good for them that they're likely to make it. But at least, yeah, there's kind of a race shaping up. It's somewhat exciting in terms of, yeah, the West, and in terms of the wild card spots. There's still some intrigue. I guess that all that portion is good if you're a hardcore baseball fan, for sure.
oh yeah, and that's what I like about the fact that Seattle is making this interesting. And Seattle is a team that I look. I'm still scared of them in the postseason for a lot of reasons because they have some really good quality pitching. I mean,
Yeah.
Luis Castillo is a wily veteran that can still get it done. But I mean, outside of that, they have. I'm trying to think of that. Well, I mean, Julio Rodriguez, of course, Cal Raleigh, who
Yeah.
you know,
While they're doing his thing, for
yeah,
sure.
no, and the thing is too is that they had. I'm trying to think of the guy who there was a really good stat about the Mariners pitcher when he starts games and like the ERA or the percentage when he's in the game. And I'm trying to remember who the guy was, and now it's bothering the crap out of me. Brian Wu.
Oh,
Wu,
Brian. Yeah, I
yeah,
was like, one of the starters. Like,
yeah,
who
yeah,
are you
yeah.
talking
Wu
about?
when Wu's in the game, like how effective he is. I mean, he's gonna hit 200 strikeouts, more likely to get 200 strikeouts this year, and
Hmm.
he's low key keeping that team together. So that is a very interesting development for a team that I think that pitching has never been there recently. I mean, they got 4 starters. It's been relatively over 100 innings.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
that's a rare thing to see these
yeah,
days.
yeah. They've put together the rotation that they never had, and then they still didn't have the offense. And finally, this year, the offense is kind of finally perked up for them. But yeah, I mean, that's not a rotation you love to face. You don't want to see Kirby Castillo. Not maybe in his prime exactly anymore, but yeah, still a tough pitcher. They've got a pretty good bullpen, or at least they've got the couple arms that they need to have. And yeah, they won't be easy. But yeah, there's a little bit of a race there, and I don't know. It just depends how you feel about it. Like, do you think a team needs to feel pressured on the stretch? Does any of that carry over? Sometimes I think it obviously does. It kind of did for the Tigers last year, but sometimes everything just completely flips on its head. Like the Tigers seem to play up to better competition and play well against them, and then they go against a scrappy younger team. Like the White Sox are now, that they've called some people up and traded people away, where they're not as familiar with their hitters, they're not as familiar with the guys coming out of the bullpen, and they don't do as well. The Tigers seem to thrive on playing teams that they're prepared for, have seen a lot, and so maybe you can take a little bit of hope from that. But yeah, I don't know. There's yeah, at least there's a little bit of a chase over there, and I always kind of root for Seattle a little bit as a second AL team, because they're the Mariners and nothing ever seems to work out.
And
So
they have a very good fan base.
yeah,
It's an area that I've gotten to know in the last couple of years, and they really really like their baseball team a lot. And with the Seahawks getting better, it's Mariners when the Mariners are really good, everybody really really pays attention to them. But
yeah.
they have a really good loyal fan base there. So uh, I can't. I don't want the Tigers to face them. I'll be honest. I just don't see. I see Seattle being a pain in the ass. But right now,
For
yeah.
sure, but I'll just say I don't care. I don't
Oh,
care who they play. Like I don't feel like it just feels like we haven't earned the right to like hope for
yeah.
anything at this point. Like, bring it on. Like the Tigers, they kind of need to get punched in the face, and maybe that's what's happening right now. I kind of thought that had already happened in July, but they didn't learn their lesson. So now they have to fight with Cleveland, who always come in, or we go there and they're just dogs when they play us. And the Tigers kind of finally rose to the challenge to some degree last year, and better this year. But yeah, I mean, I kind of just feel like, hey, that's fine. I will play whoever, because we haven't really earned the right to like hope for a nice path through everything.
Yeah.
Then maybe that's what the Tigers need, is to get ground into the dirt a little bit for a second, get scared, and pick themselves back up. A lot of these guys got their first playoff experience last year. You'd hope that would kind of have boost them. The bullpen obviously has come together a lot better. The fact that they're going to get Finnegan back this week makes everyone feel better. Urquidy, looked okay, looked pretty Jose Urquidy-ish yesterday, and Melton's been good. Best has been pretty good. You take your chances, At least the bullpen's there, and Casey's pitched better lately. You just don't know what you can depend on, with Casey and Jack, and so they're just gonna have to take their chances with all that. But it just hasn't come together for the Tigers. Like the bullpen's been better, and the offense has been kind of blah for the last couple weeks. They get some good starts out of the rotation, and then suddenly the bullpen blows it. And they get themselves in great position in extra innings in the one game where they did really swing the bats well. They did have some bad BABIP luck in the series, but bases loaded and they get one run and then they lose. And they're going to lose. You can't score one run in extra innings on the road in the 10th or 11th inning and expect to win. So yeah, all around it's just been kind of frustrating, dude. Just like to see it all kind of gel, and it just won't. So.
Yeah, and again, the one thing that I think that has been forgotten about but I think by the fan base is that the Tigers are, I think, exceeding expectations a little bit, where they are among the top teams in the American League. But however, Like I've gotten in arguments with some fans. There's one fan in particular. I'm not going to say his name, but there's just every time the Tigers struggle or there's a kind of thing, he gets to the extreme. He has I like to call the 97 won the ticket extreme, where it's just like, this team is not good. They're like, I expect my team to win, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, that's what they're doing. They're winning. I don't know what else you want. I mean, this is a team, like, on paper right now, that is doing better. Like, if you told me.
Welcome to Bless You Boys game threads, baby.
Yeah. Good evening, chasing cardboard Tigers from good old Ann Arbor there. Nice.
Yeah. Nice area.
Yeah, very nice area. I'm overdue. There's a Korean barbecue place in downtown Ann Arbor that's fantastic. I highly recommend it. But you're getting a breakout season from Winzio Perez. You're getting a lot of things going on. Hey, Adam, good to see you in the chat. There's a lot of things that are encouraging. But however, it is really kind of a thing where you're just like,
yeah. Again, I step back, and I think where we were like 2 years ago, and I'd be relatively pleased to see where they are right now, and thinking like, okay, they can build this out a little more. It's going to be sustainable. We got McGonigal, we got Clark, we got Briseño, we got these guys coming. We've talked about the weakness in the pitching in the farm system all year, and all the guys that have been hurt. And here at the end, like over the final month or so, all of a sudden, you got Salcedo, you got Marcano. A couple of guys have started to really, really perk up. You can start feeling better that the long-term plan to like stockpile all these young pitchers, in theory to have in 27, 28, once Tarek Skubal is probably gone, that you're going to have that wave of pitching that they really need at some point. That maybe, that's still a possibility. So again, I can step back and feel like, okay, it's been a successful season already. I feel good about where the Tigers are, but as it turns out, it's a lot more fun to play great baseball in the second half as opposed to the first half. And that's just how it is. Expectations get raised. Everybody, was riding high. We were all, trying to talk things down a little bit. Like, don't start believing this is the 27 Yankees or even the 84 Tigers or anything. But, there was almost nothing going wrong for 3 months. It was like everybody on the team has a 750 or better OPS. The rotation was doing pretty well. The bullpen was doing pretty well. You knew we had like Melton in their back pocket. They eventually might get Urquidy and Gibson Long and some of these guys back to help out down the stretch. And you figured they'd make, a big trade at the deadline. I don't know why that was ever a thought in my mind, because Scott Harris runs his team. But at certain points I thought like, they're in great shape. And now they're just kind of in okay shape. But, it is what it is. You get to the postseason, you take your chances. Nobody really scares me there too much. I would prefer probably not to face the Mariners if it came to it, but it is what it is. Hopefully we match up with the Yankees in the first series, and then you feel good, because for whatever reason we have the Yankees number.
Well, here's the thing. Stan, there is enthusiasm for success. I don't understand what he's saying. We're not enthusiastic about this. What Tyler said is correct. I'm constantly forced to remind myself that the Tigers, they are 20 games over 500.
Yep. It just doesn't look like it.
Yeah. If you told me that at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't believe you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. I have been steadfast with people to calm down about this. And
Hmm.
every time I say anything, calm down. Like, don't tell us how I feel. Fine, I won't tell you how I feel. But
Right, right.
realistically, on paper, this team is doing a lot of things that they're not supposed to be doing right now. However, the one thing that is when you play like crap against the Marlins, you play like crap against the White Sox, teams you're supposed to be beating, there is a pause for concern. And that is legitimately a good reason why to bring it up. If they bring and look, beating New York, nothing makes me more happy being New York because their fans will somehow complain or John Boy Media will find some way to say Detroit's cheating or something. I
Right.
mean,
It's delicious. It's
yeah,
delicious when you beat the Yankees for sure.
yeah, and clearly you think that Kyle, you didn't give a crap about the Kyle Finnegan trade, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it just kind of proves out the point that when Scott Harris like does something, it's usually smart. He just, for a certain group of people's taste, he just doesn't do enough. You just like to see him push harder. We can argue about that forever. Overall, again, if I step back, yeah, very successful season. Them getting it together last year, the long term prognosis all looks good. It's just that going into the postseason, you'd like to feel some swagger from your team, and that's the little element that they haven't been able to get going. And so, you know, that can happen quickly. The offense gets hot for a couple games, and all of a sudden they're swinging the bat and hitting dingers, and everyone's feeling better. Maybe you can carry that into the postseason. I'm just looking for them to like show a little bit of spark there, and they just haven't really been able to sustain anything really since early July. So that doesn't necessarily mean it won't happen in the postseason. Anything can happen in the postseason. The postseason's a crapshoot. Like the odds of one team beating the other are never really more than like 5% apart. So we'll take our shot for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm dealing with the same thing. I mean, it's just been a absolute bag of misery because the Tigers aren't just like steamrolling everyone, and I'm not feeling that great. But I'm also in the position of like, hey, this isn't football. Settle down. You can't flip out every time you lose 2 games. It's 2 games. It's like not even a full quarter of football in terms of the season. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's just trying to balance all those things, and yeah, they're not really being that strong a vibe right now, and that's just where we are.
and I do like what uh, there's no name on this. It said I'm a big believer in offensive war, and I'm not really sure we have many players that will be consistently 3+ B war long term. I think you need a few stars to win a championship. I
Yeah,
look at it this way though. I mean, you have Dylan Dingler is a 3 war player. Quietly is I think that's a quiet 3. That's a quiet 3 war
yeah.
season.
Defense
McKinstry,
defense counts as it turns out.
yeah, yeah, and then you have McKinstry at 2.9. He's killed, he's kind of settled back a little bit, but Riley Green, he's now tied Tony Clark for most home runs by a drafted player.
Mm-hmm.
Has a chance to probably break that. He's at 2.6, and Gleyber Torres is 2.5. He's struggled in the second half of the season immensely,
Yeah.
but I think he's due to have that turnaround of getting back on the better offensive side of things. But
And Glaber's kind of the guy that they need.
yeah,
God forbid I bring up Alex Bregman one more time in any context. But obviously, I was the like we've got to sign Alex Bregman guy all last off season, and it's for this reason is to have that one veteran who's done this a lot is going to give you like super gritty pain in the ass at bats in the postseason. And Gleyber Torres has managed to fill that role most of the season and just hasn't really been good the last 2 months. So hopefully he can get it going a little bit. It's a tough time of year. A lot of guys are banged up. It's a long season. We all know how that can work, and then suddenly flip in the postseason when you have like that extra surge of adrenaline. There is like an element of like, okay, that sort of erases all the minor wear and tear and the fatigue of the season, and now it's go time again, and things might look completely different. You don't know, and that's why you just from Scott Harris's perspective, you just try to get in every year and don't worry too much about the seed or like putting together a 100-win team or anything because none of that guarantees you squat either. So,
no, that's
you
right.
know,
And you want to make sure, like, here's an example of, and Stan brought this up. You look at a guy like Jemai Jones, because right now Matt Verling's,
yeah,
right now he's doing his rehab in Toledo, but I don't think it matters because I think Jemai Jones has earned himself on his team. I mean, he's hitting righties at a better clip, average wise.
yeah,
He's hitting lefties with power. You know, an interesting stat that I took away from what he's doing at home. Here's the thing, Brandon. So he is batting. This is how stark night and day he loves Comerica Park. Get this, batting 316, 435, slugging 702 with OPS over 1,000.
okay,
5 home runs, 11 RBIs, and here's the thing: in 50, this is the most important stat: 57 at bats. Away, 54 at bats. He is batting 222, 276, 370, 646 OPS. So it's almost identical.
Yeah,
And but I would have I don't know the splits between home and away and how he would left-handed, but holy
yeah.
crap, that's platooning at its finest right there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I just don't know how much I buy into like home and away, in
Yeah,
a short amount of at bats. But the fact is, Jahmai Jones is a monster weapon against left-handers to a degree that even Andy Ibanez wasn't last year. And hey, point to me because I saw this coming in spring training and wrote about it. And I'm writing about Jahmai Jones right now because that is like another element that in the postseason, like those things end up mattering even more is where you
right.
can match up with platoons. We saw what happened to Scuba last year. Logan Thomas, not a notable player, but against Tarek Skubal in a postseason, it worked out great for them. And yeah, the Tigers have that weapon. I guess the corollary to that is, yeah, the Tigers have some guys who are pretty neutral platoon splits, but we don't have that lefty right now. And that's the other thing that's been kind of just wearing on me as far as the postseason is the notion of we're going to send Tyler Holton in to face Juan Soto at some point with runners on base in a World Series. I'll be happy because we got there, so we don't have to stress about it. But that's one thing they have been able to solve in the platoon game, and Jahmai Jones is a huge weapon in the platoon game. So maybe those two forces will somewhat balance out. I mean, you look through the Tigers lineup; they don't. It's not like there's a glaring weakness except at shortstop right now. With Meadows swinging the bat and Wenzel Perez swinging the bat that well, like you feel pretty good about center field. You got Riley in left. Carpenter is still kind of like but we can hope for some postseason Carp magic in right field, and Wenzel there a little bit. And Torkelson's just kind of been okay, just kind of been holding the line. And then you got Torres, Keith and Ibanez at third, Dangler. That's a pretty deep roster. We just don't have that really scary guy or that extra scary guy in the lineup. But depth is good too. So
Hypothetically, so Daily Ninja Bees here says hypothetically, what does a healthy season from Meadows look like? I think it's like 280.
oh no,
Well, I think it's to me it's a healthy season for me is 270, 280, near
yeah,
15 to 20 home runs, playing over 120, 130 games in center field and that
yeah,
kind of thing. That to me is a healthy at Parker Meadows at what I
yeah.
potentially
Like
see him at. Yeah,
not a huge OBP guy, but like 330 OBP with
yeah,
maybe average power, average steals. 15, 20 homers, 15 stolen bases, something like that. Lots of extra base hits. I mean, the thing about Parker is that when he's swinging it well and he's making contact, he makes a lot of hard contact. But he isn't like getting there on squibbers. When he's going well, he drives the ball hard and he's got the speed. So I think that guy is there. It's just haven't been able to see it. Haven't been able to get a complete, even half season out of him yet. So there's just going to be concern until we see how sustainable he can put together a really good run for a long stretch. There's still gonna have to be questions about that. And I think what is he? He's 26 now. It's not his fault he had a bizarre nerve issue in his right arm, but we've watched this for a long time where he got to that point in Double A where he finally was breaking out, was starting to drive the ball and do damage the way he needed to, and it's just taken him time to really level up from there. He found his way to a couple of really nice stretches, but yeah, we just haven't seen him really been able to put it together for a long time for a variety of reasons.
yeah. And the Tigers have been able to. That's kind of given that open the door for Perez to.
Yeah, we are going to recreate him in the aggregate, Tyler. That's it.
Yeah, I like the way you said that. That was funny.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if
Old
it's
money ball.
but let's see what's going on with the slides. Let's see, I was trying to get a hold of Chris here, see if it jump on. But yeah, before we get to Toledo and break everything down, one last thing about the upcoming series. If you're looking to see what the pitching matchups are, they announced that already, right? So I'm looking at. See here, I'm trying to see where I found that earlier.
Trusty old MLB probable pitchers or somewhere else?
Baseball Reference. Usually, Baseball Reference sometimes will have it.
Earlier, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Um, but well, whatever.
Let's see. Yeah, Joey Cantillo tomorrow
Okay.
against Mize, left-hander. Pretty darn good. But again, that'll be another test for the Andy Jahmai coalition. And then who is it?
Yeah, I was trying to wait my schedule. Oh, that's why I didn't go to schedule.
Oh, they don't have someone announced for Wednesday. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's the problem. I was like, I can't remember who it is.
yeah.
We don't know who it is, and yeah, so they're not announced. So yeah, they're being crafty over there. Old Stephen Vogt, wily veteran, not
Oh yeah,
telling us what's what. But they do have Tarek Scuba listed for Thursday. So
yeah. And by the way, Fiesta Tigres is Friday, so that'll be that's a game that I don't want to miss. So hopefully, depending on what happens with Erie. By the way, Cleveland comes into the series 9 out of their last 10. So
hmm
they've only lost to Kansas City. So that's another thing. But what's
they're due to lose.
yes, they are due to lose. And a lot of the games have been outside of the blowout of Kansas City at 10-2. A lot of games have been somewhat close.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens
Well,
there.
yeah. I mean, they're not blowing anyone out. They're
Yeah.
just scraping by and shutting them down with the bullpen. That's their game, and they've been doing it again. Your boy Joe Rampy had a great note today about Jack Flaherty and how much better he's pitched on what is it, on 4 days rest instead of five. That was a great note. I don't know what to make of that. Like, it's absolutely baffling that for his career he's been that much better. On 4 days rest than five. You'd think rest would be good, but I don't know. He forgets things. That extra day he just starts to like drift away, and he's like playing video games and like forgets his rhythm. I don't know what it is, but that was interesting, especially thinking about the postseason where you might end up pitching him on a tight turnaround and trying to use him like you know 60, 70 pitches and not push it, and try to bust him back out in 4 days. I don't know. That's an interesting thing. I just wonder if teams would make something of that, or if they're just like, yeah, we don't know what to think about that. I don't know. It's baffling, but it is a really, really good poll, Joe.
Well, yeah, Joe. Yeah, Joe's been really good with that stuff, and like that pull the stat about the Tiger, his record against teams over 500,
Yeah.
and just managing to level up there.
Yeah. My
Um,
hope here is that, yeah, the Tigers just have a thing where when they're prepared and they know the other team, they're better. And if that's the case, that's a good sign going into the postseason. I just don't know that it's the case. It may just be the way things are shaking out.
yeah, and we'll see what happens with. We'll see what happens this weekend with that. Well, the slides are still getting worked on, but we can talk about that anyway. It doesn't really matter. So Erie, excuse me. We'll start with kind of what happened around the farm
Yeah.
in terms of roster activity. There's been quite a bit actually. Uh, Woksu has been developed or got off the IL. Eric Sylvia was sent down to Erie from Lakeland. Ryan Boyer activated and pitched pretty well this weekend against Altoona, which came at the right time. Dylan Smith was reactivated as well.
He's up in Toledo now. Yep.
Yeah, Chris Williams Jr., which we have not seen all year, was
Yeah.
activated. Of course, Paul Sewald is still doing his rehab, which I think he'll probably be back this week, I believe. Or
Yeah.
is
It
he?
seems, it seems like maybe he just needs one more.
Yeah.
Um, you just kind of wait for him to get hot. What's tricky about this is like having to call up Urquidy and Seawald, because then you
Oh,
can't change your mind. There's no way out.
by the way, scared the shit out of me, Chris. I didn't even see. I look.
Sorry.
No,
Oh
no,
God!
I know the thing, the bill didn't go off, so that's why I was like. But by the way, happy belated birthday to Chris Brown.
Thank you very much.
Woo! Happy birthday.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, so it's. Well, that was a disturbing text.
Sorry.
No,
Oh,
no,
wait, what?
that's okay. No, it's just. Um. Anyway, so we're just about. I was going through the sad. I was going to get to the sad news that Tigers released Wilmer Flores this week.
Yep. Yep.
End of an era.
Yeah. Yeah. Just could not get healthy, and yeah, I mean, we've all heard like, like it just didn't go well between parties. Like there was some friction, and couldn't get on the same page to some degree. But yeah, I mean, otherwise it's just just too banged up and couldn't get himself in condition again. So I guess someone else could take a shot. But yeah, there's a classic example of a guy who really, really popped hard and then just was like, "Ooh," that was it,
Yeah.
fizzle.
Yeah, it was kind of reminiscent of Franklin Perez. Unfortunately, the last time we saw Flores out there pitching, it was like 84 he was
Yeah.
throwing. I was like, what is going on here? And yeah, I mean, it almost felt like I don't want to ascribe things that I don't know would happen, but it almost felt like he didn't want to pitch They asked him to go out there, and he's like, "Here's what it looks like," and they're like, "All right, see you later."
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, maybe he's still in a ton of pain, but it's just kind of crazy that he was last spring training where he was looking throwing upper 90s, and we're like, this could be the closer of the future, and then just poof, gone.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. As Brandon mentioned, there's a lot of rumblings and there's a lot of internal stuff that he had his own people, and then the Tigers work with him, and we'll never really get to. I mean, we've like I said, I've heard them. We heard some things, and so, but the fact that his velocity was like that, it was just sad because he was literally, yeah, as Chris just mentioned, just within an earshot of Detroit, but
Yeah, he was right there, and he was looking monstrous for about a couple weeks
yeah.
that spring, and it looked like like okay, maybe this is going to work out anyway. We're going to have the reliever of the future, and then just been absolutely cratered since then.
yeah, and there's not the Tigers are. I think if they're releasing him, that's saying something for a team that's already desperate for pitching. They've seen enough. So, but yeah, and that's in terms of also another big transaction that happened this week that was just in time. Peyton Graham released from the IL and was able to start in the postseason for West Michigan, and I believe he had a couple hits.
Yeah, he had a good series.
Yeah.
Or a good series and a half or whatever.
Yeah, had a couple big hits yesterday.
So the Valencia World Tour continues as he has been still leading. He's still leading the Tiger minor leagues in home runs, and again, if you're looking for a bat first, just after talking to Gabe Alvarez, the defense still needs some work, but still wrecking shop.
Yeah, it was nice to get that confirmation from on high there that's still the major concern, because that's what we've been saying and what it looks like, but it's hard. It's just really hard to evaluate catching. I find that's like not an area where I feel super confident when it's like obvious, like it was with Dingler, great, but otherwise it's like I don't know how much better guys are going to get. Like I find it hard. I can see where they are, but figuring out trajectory is not a strong suit for me in terms of catchers. I don't think so. Yeah, that was good. Good to kind of get confirmation there. But yeah, I mean, dude is swinging a hot bat. I looked through all of his StatCast numbers, looking for like a glaring weakness against breaking balls or something, or velocity. Nah, nothing too major. So yeah, he's looking pretty for real as far as a hitter.
Yeah, just needs the opportunity, I guess, right? Like, and that's the thing is, if you can't play anywhere, it's hard to bring you up and hit. We've seen, Justin Henry Malloy has kind of been in no man's land, and it's a different profile, though. I say Malloy has kind of the classic walk-driven offensive profile, which has proven time and time again to not really work in the big leagues. Like you can be a great hitter who walks a ton. Look at Juan Soto. But the walks can't be your main skill.
Yeah.
And Malloy has the power, but as you said, sometimes they throw him anything with a wrinkle and it's kind of over.
Yeah. I mean, walks are like a qualification, right? Like you have to reach a certain bar. But beyond that, like you can't depend on like, oh, well, this guy has an 18% walk rate. He's just going to, live on base. Doesn't necessarily work. I mean, it's not really going to work for Jace Young either, but yeah, Malloy's also just kind of a classic fastball hitter, really. Hasn't really shown any signs of being able to do more against breaking stuff. So
It's and another. Oh, by the way, before I forget this, Matt Manning was DFA'd by the Phillies, and he ended up getting re-signed, and is reporting back to Double-A Reading, ladies and gentlemen.
That's okay. They don't all work out.
So yeah, I mean, they sent him to Double-A Reading, and I think they're in the process of turning him back into a starter. I think that's what they were doing. And the first outing went okay. The second one was a disaster. He walked 5 people, gave up 5 earned runs, had 2 wild pitches, and that's when they DFA'd him.
Yeah.
But, I think they're going to keep trying. It's, he's a name. He's a name from the past, the former first rounder. Teams will always give those guys shots.
Yeah. It is kind of funny that it's Dombrowski because, that was like the first non-Dombrowski draft pick.
Yeah, but we know, I think David Chad is still there with Philly, and so there's
there's still ties for sure.
Yeah. So does Valencia have a chance to make the opening day team? I don't know, Stan. I really don't know what the Tigers are going to do with him as far as but defense. I will say this: Hinch loves good defenders, and if you can't defend, then I don't know where he's going to put him on this roster. I mean,
Yeah, well, I guess the question is he the backup plan for Spencer Torkelson next year, because Torque has just kind of cruised along, and the big improvement for Torkelson this year is that he's been steadier. Like, there hasn't been like quite the deep funks. He's been able to stay on the roster, not need to get sent down. He's sustaining, what is it, like, 332 OBP, which is league average. But if someone was going to offer you something for Spencer Torkelson, I think you would you'd be considering taking it. If there was someone who thought they could squeeze more out of him right now. So maybe if he has a bad spring camp or something, or has an injury, maybe Valencia has a path to playing time next year. But I'm not sure that that's enough to keep you on the 40-man roster either, the way things are going to go this offseason.
Yeah, and I think in my head I was thinking, that would have to be an injury situation. It probably would have to be an injury to Torkelson, and even at that point, they might prefer Keith at first base or Malloy at first base. I don't know. Like, who knows? I mean, he could have an outstanding offseason and come back in like terrific shape and looking like more athletic around the bag and behind the plate. And I mean, I think they're going to add him to the 40-man. I think they kind of have to.
He's not going to get through, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, and at that point, it's like, it'll be interesting to see in the offseason if they go and they try to sign another veteran catcher. I assume they will. They did it with Nito and Brian Serven, and I feel like there was another one. They like to have those guys there. So
yeah,
but I don't know. I would say it's a less than 5% chance, but who knows?
Yeah. Especially also with, I think trying him at first base too. That's a new position for him, and if you can adapt to that, maybe that might help his cause a little bit. But it might actually help. And I hate to say this, but it might even push Justin Henry Malloy too as well. I mean, Malloy's playing first base.
Yeah, and there's another one. Like, I don't know what value Malloy has right now. Like, I don't know what you could potentially even get for him. I mean, something, but not much. And yeah.
Yeah, and so Trey Cruz, by the way, there was another. There was some of the bat data has been really good. He cooled off a little bit this week, but nevertheless, he's still an interesting profile to keep a look at. And another guy who, I was talking to Mark about this, and I think Chris mentioned this too. I feel like he should have been played in the Arizona Fall League.
Yeah, it depends, because he's another one that's kind of up there for, like, do they add him to the 40-man? I don't know. He's older. What is he, 27 now?
Yeah. It'd be weird I think it would just be weird on that score, because is it reps that he needs? That doesn't seem so. Like that isn't really it. He needs like something to pop for him in one way or the other, like either to really, really start thriving in a specific role, or something. But is he going to get a lot better at center field? No, probably not. Is he going to really turn into a potential starting shortstop? No. Is he going to develop a lot more power? No. So it's just sort of like, he's sort of like the type of guy that you would like to keep around, like a McKinstry, and like, okay, if he was exposed to enough major league pitching, maybe he'd eventually piece his approach together enough to get the max out of his game. But it's also hard to know how he's ever going to get that opportunity with the Tigers, I guess. So.
Yeah, and that's where it's. You know what, Alan? That's a good point. He said Cruz should be popping in the winter leagues.
Yeah,
that'll definitely help out his profile too. I think he played in Puerto Rico in the Puerto Rican league. That was the last time he played, I believe.
I think. Yeah.
He kind of feels like the type of guy who almost should go somewhere else, and because he can play at the major league level, I think, to some extent.
100%. I think he
as
can.
A depth player at least. So, yeah, but I just don't know if they're going to have that opportunity for him. Maybe. I mean, AJ Hinch would love another switch hitter, I'm sure. But, right now Wenzel's got the market cornered.
Yeah, and they had that, like, again, the pedigree of his family, too, really helps. And so, speaking of his former team, Erie, they pulled it off again. They beat Altoona. They are the first and second half champion for the first time in team history. They tied a team record for most wins in a season with 84. And this is on the stems of the fact that you can listen more about it if you're a paid member of our Patreon, but they are they got it done. And one thing that I noticed I was telling Chris about this, is that so Jaden Ham, I've been paying attention more to Lakeland in West Michigan the last few weeks. I haven't because I've been watching Erie all season.
Mhm.
Watched Jade Ham pitch yesterday, and Brandon, I'm not sure if you caught this or not. When he comes to set, he's actually going over his head and throwing. So that's helping. That we as Chris mentioned that it helped Ty Madden, and maybe it'll help Ham. But Ham has been pitching better as of late.
Yeah. At least he did have like a couple of pretty nice outings. I haven't really seen what his velocity's been like the last two to see if it's come back. It still seemed like he was throwing a lot of 93 to me, but yeah, we'll see. He's just a guy who I'm not really that concerned about. I want him to get a full off season. If he gets healthy, then we'll see what we see. Next year is going to be kind of a big proving year for him to see if he can kind of put this one behind him. Troy Melton spun his wheels last year. Most pitchers, pitching prospects, when they pop, it seems like there's always like 1 year in there where just, they just don't make any major progress. They're working on a new pitch, they're tweaking things and struggling at times and thriving and kind of going back and forth and not really making any progress. And then, sometimes the next year they break out, and that's what you hope for. That's what Melton did this year. And yeah, it'd be nice to see Ham come out next year throwing 95 with the slider looking better and better changeup and kind of just piece it together. It's like he's not that far away, but there's just enough like kind of shaky elements still that you don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, you want that velocity to just increase just
a little. Yeah. I mean, Urquidy, doesn't need to throw 95, 96. And, if Ham can max out his IVB most of the time and improve his secondary stuff enough to work guys over that way, that can totally work. He doesn't have to throw 95, 96 necessarily, but he has in the past. We've seen that, and he seems like a guy who could get in just a little bit, better shape. That's not like a shot at him either. Just like another year of like physical development and building himself up. So
because you can't live in the top of the zone, Brandon, like that. Because
he's got to be able to move it up and down a little more. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because that was his game at West Michigan, but at a higher level like that, you're just going to get slaughtered, and the home runs are just in case of point with that. So.
At some point, the Tigers, as they do with everyone, will have him throwing some sinkers. Casey Mize throwing some sinkers. Troy Melton throwing some sinkers. Like everybody, Montero.
I think, and the one thing to remember with Ham is that he is still relatively young-ish he just turned 23.
Yeah.
So I think Melton's like 25, right? So
yeah,
there's still time for him to figure it out. But it's been kind of a building year.
Yeah.
A year of some adversity and trying to figure it out, dealing with injury and coming back from that.
Yeah.
Like if he's hitting 93, that's, he was 88, 90 when he was down at Lakeland. So if he's worked up a little bit, that's a good sign. But yeah, ideally it would be, living a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Just hard to evaluate any more than that until we kind of see him get the off season and come back next year. Yeah.
Oh, Stan, man. Jeez, Pete's, dude.
What in the world?
Yeah. That's
Stan with the hammer.
Yeah, look at that. He deserves no. By the way, he sent me a picture earlier in the week. He goes, "Guess where I am?" And I said,
"Off the Frickers building."
Oh no! Well, you didn't tell. That's not where he was it?
No, he was. He was
at the Frickers building.
Yeah, he was like right in front of the Frickers building. He was at the second base level at Toledo, in front of the
"Off the Frickers building."
And so.
Thank you, Stan. Did you hit it like a tempting parlay last night or something? What's going on?
No, you know what? You know what's going on, Chris? You know what?
Home this win for your team.
That was the best dump of my career.
He just said the best dump of his career. I'm just joking.
Right,
Thank you, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Do you have any questions? Any questions?
No, he's been. Yeah. Well, thank you again, Stan. That was very, very, very kind of you. So I lost my train of thought there. Eric Sylvia. Yeah, buy some sheets. Buy me some sheets.
I think Stan did ask if we had predicted what we had predicted for the
Tigers. We did. We did make some, we did make some predictions at the beginning of the podcast this year with University Metrics.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, about how the Tigers were going to finish, but I have to look that up again.
I think I honestly think I had them second and winning 86 games. I was still salty. I was still salty about them not signing Bregman.
I think I had them at 84.
Okay. Yeah.
Because what did they win last year? 86?
Yeah, I want to say 86 or 7. Yeah. It's one of the two.
So easy to forget these
Yeah.
these seasons are like,
too many numbers on our heads. Yeah, 86 and 76. Yep.
Yeah.
I will always remember you. Forget everything.
I just figured they'd repeat that. Yeah.
anytime you go third person, you get the shout out here. He's like, "Yep, I went to Toledo Friday and Saturday. Great fun. Tigers went 83 over.
Oh.
Over. Good for Stando.
Nice.
Stando.
Good job, Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the third person reference. Ricky gonna go.
Yeah.
Ricky ready to run.
Yeah. Anytime you go third person in this on this on this podcast, you're going to get a shout out because I love third person. It is the great, like it's something from the
Nice.
something from the Drew and Mike show that sticks with me. So moving on to West Michigan, and West Michigan just what a gritty game last night, Chris. They came back. That was a game where you mentioned this earlier about the lefty from Cedar Rapids just throwing them a junk.
Yeah. It was an interesting game. They took care of business against Lake County, which was nice to see. Hayden Minton had 6 no-hit innings in the first game. That was very impressive.
Yeah.
By the way, you can see that whole outing on our YouTube page. I have Marcano's relief outing from yesterday on there as well, and I will have a short of Marcano's swings and misses. But
All right.
yesterday was I don't think they saw Cedar Rapids at all this year, right? Didn't we?
No, they did. No, they did. They didn't see Beloit. They did see.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's a formidable top 3 in the lineup. You got Kyle DeBarge, who has got like 65 steals this year, and then Merrick Houston, their first round draft pick this year, generally considered the best college defensive shortstop in the draft out of Wake Forest, and then their Eduardo Tayit was basically he and Mick Abel were the 2 guys that Minnesota got for Yohan Duran, and he's a top 50-ish prospect. So that was like I said, it's a tough top 3. And the weirdest thing is they, and you can kind of see it if you watch the Marcano outing. It's like they were sitting breaking ball all game. It was an odd tech.
Yeah. It was kind of like, it was just like watching a team just take fastballs for long stretches.
Well, and it started off okay because Preston Howie was the starter, and he couldn't locate his slider the way he needs to. It was either over the heart of the plate or not a strike. He couldn't like entice him right below the zone. And they were sitting on that, and they hit it a little bit, and he kind of unraveled. He hit a guy, and I'm still a little bit confused by how they moved him into the rotation this year. You're having him start in a playoff game as a guy who was literally only a reliever all throughout college, and like the first 75% of this year.
Not like a hard throwing, flame throwing type reliever at all.
He's like 93. He'll get 95 a handful of times a game. And that was the other thing is I was out there trying to get video. My phone overheated because I was directly in the sun. It was a 2:00 start. And the radar gun was only getting like 1 out every 4 pitches. So I was like, all right, whatever. But then, so they got down 3-0. Hayden Irby came in there and almost unraveled. They loaded the bases with walks, and he got out of it. And then it was the Carlos Marcano show. It was really impressive. Yeah. He and I was up there. I went up to the press box and I talked to the TrackMan guy or Hawkeye guy. I was like, "Does he throw this hard earlier in the year?" I was like, "No, he was not throwing this hard early in the year." I heard like supposedly he just hit the gym a ton when he was rehabbing in Lakeland. I'm like, all right, that does it. That does it. So yeah, I mean, he was sitting 95. He touched 97 several times. He was throwing sliders, threw a couple changeups in there. Like I said, it was like they were waiting for him to throw breaking balls. In the way he was throwing them, he was kind of starting them at their left-handed or right-handed hitter front hip, and they just couldn't swing, and they would just break right over the plate.
Were they looking at old tape on him where they were just waiting for that kind of slow curve to come rolling in?
I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was. But
the slider looks better. It's it's definitely sharper than it was early this year and late last year.
It was the Joe Piscopo effect, aka he sat around getting bigger because that's what Joe Piscopo
got buff.
Well, yeah, but and then so you could tell they were just waiting for a breaking ball, and he just fire 95 right past them. It was like, it ended up being 4 2/3 of scoreless. He gave up 1 hit, was an infield hit, give up a walk, and then there was a catcher's interference. But he really, he was huge in that game, and the crowd gave him an awesome ovation.
Yeah, DeBarge and Houston each struck out 3 times. They only had 1 hit between them. Yeah.
And meanwhile, it was the kind of the inevitability of West Michigan is they just kind of they get on base, they steal, and they move guys over. And it was like dink and dunk, and then I think Austin Murr had the kind of Callahan put him ahead, and then Austin Murr hit a triple or a double out to center field that put him up 5-3, and that was it. Cedar Rapids couldn't. They never really even had another threat until I guess Marco Jimenez came out, and I think he walked Two walked the first
Yeah.
batter. Yeah, it was iffy, but he was throwing really hard.
Yeah.
He was amped up.
That was 9,900, and yeah, coming right at him. Oh, I got to give Garrett Pennington credit because he was the one with the go ahead single. But yeah,
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it was. I was trying to remember because I know that I think Graham had a couple hits and Dean I think had a couple or hit, but it was
but like you said, every time someone singled, they took second because Cedar Rapids kept throwing home, and they would take second base every time. It was like that's what the Tigers do, and they're clearly working on it down there too.
Yeah, and that was the case with the next series with Lakeland. That was what happened in Game 1 against Dayton, Daytona, by the way. Daytona, but I'm sorry, but your camera blows. I mean, like it's enough to where Ryan I text Garco the video of him. The guy goes, "Get him out of here!" Like he was talking about
Toledo.
Yeah. And then, it's bad enough, but then the audio sounded overmodulated. And I mean, I know.
And there's no StatCast data.
Yeah, no StatCast data, which even sucks even more. But they were doing that too, where they were going like Jesus Pinto on that triple. Like everybody was first to second, first to third, just instantly, just having that being aggressive on the base path. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, Salcedo was cruising along. They had everybody was just beating the ball on the ground. Then suddenly he hit a batter, then it was I forgot who hit the ball to right center. Then the trainers came out, or then he came out. The Ray Rivera came out, and then the trainer came out, and then he left. Yeah, and that was it.
Just kind of a dump, like it was just a blue. Oh, Ichiro Kano.
Yeah,
Ichiro. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, do you think we'll ever find out if there was an injury? Really?
No, because I said that Gargo.
That's it. That's his last outing of the year.
Yeah,
he's gone right into the tunnel, and that's a wrap.
Yeah, but I was going to like, I hope he's okay, and then he didn't say anything. So I was like,
well, we know the one thing they will not tell us anything about injuries. They will that's one thing I can't tell you is about injuries, and the other thing I can't tell you who's getting promoted. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But yeah.
No, we won't. Honestly, we won't know until maybe the whatever they call it, the spring breakout game next year. Like if he shows up on that roster, then he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, if he's having surgery, we might hear about it. That seems to be like the only exception to that is like if you're going to miss the whole year and you're going to have TJ, you'll find that out. But that's it.
And you said, Rod, you said nothing looked off. It was just kind of, it was hot out there, or maybe he was just feeling a little lightheaded or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been like dehydration because it was really, really hot. And when you looked at him, I mean, he was dripping sweat. He was drenched. But
he had a cramp. Yeah,
it could have been anything like that. So that's why I wasn't worried about it too much because it wasn't like even when he hit the batter, it was something that was close. But I mean, he was brilliant. He was blanking Daytona. They couldn't do nothing against him. And this is a team, by the way, that features 3 or 4 guys that they have some really good power numbers on the Tortugas. And so, but Sloan came in there and struck out the side. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like Daytona had that was the lowest hit total they had all season, and Lakeland was able to. Yeah. And Lakeland, by the way, also similar to West Michigan in the sense that they have a very dominant home record. And the next game will be the next 2 games. Well, the next game, I mean, if there's a game 3, if necessary, will be in Lakeland. And I think Lakeland, out of all the vote between Lakeland and West Michigan, I feel really confident about Lakeland because same thing. They were slow to get things going, but then it was Dumasil did a really good job. And Myers, Myers has no business being there, but it's okay.
But having Myers in there does not hurt your chances. Yeah,
that'd be funny. I wonder. Do you suppose he'd get a ring for that?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, he's got to, right? I mean, if he can play, I guess you got to give him a ring.
And it is worth noting too that the lineup changes the same except for Christian Santana was not playing game 1 because he was over 5, and I think, like I said, I think that last game might have been the last time we see Christian Santana in a Flying Tigers uniform. I really, really believe that.
It's possible. I think they may keep him around for the Jose de la Cruz, farewell tour next year, but we'll see. But yeah, to your point, I mean, like that Daytona team, that's they're young, but that's Alfredo Duno is like a top 25 prospect in baseball. Tyson Lewis was a guy who's super exciting. He was putting up monstrous like exit velo numbers in the complex league. So those are 2 really exciting prospects, and that offense just could do nothing against Lakeland's pitching. And normally we're like, okay, well, there's a bunch of old college guys, but Salcedo, 19, he's like, he really is looking like the best pitching prospect in the system. So hopefully he's healthy. fingers crossed, the Tigers have been getting sort of good injury news lately. Like Scooble's probably okay, and Finnegan might be coming back sooner than they expected. So it's Salcedo. Hopefully, it's just a fingernail or indigestion.
I was just
one of the first things we talked about before you got on was just about like as bad as a year as it's been for pitching injuries and like nothing going right other than Melton, from Job all the way down to the bottom, and Owen Hall and Zach Swanson and all those guys. Like the last month, it finally kind of started to perk up. Right, Jake Miller comes back, Salcedo pops really hard, Marcano suddenly, looking way better. Elisalt's been somewhat impressive. So some more positive signs, at least on the pitching front to end the year. And as we keep reminding everyone, they have a ton of arms. They're just all broken and in storage until next year.
And Salcedo was so efficient with his pitching. That was the thing. He was he was cruising. He had, I think, like
52 pitches, 36 for strikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
kept going.
Yeah, it was insane. And that was his longest outing of the year. And so it was funny when the broadcaster made that comment, because I think it was like I think it was the second inning or first, it was like 6 like he had just a bare minimum of one. It was just a matter of strikes, grounder. Then, it was way ahead of every batter in every account. And he was able to, he wasn't getting a lot of swing and miss at first, but then it started happening after later. But the bullpen did a really good job of shutting it down, as well as the Flying Tigers have had issues with their bullpen walking a lot of guys, and that wasn't the case on Sunday.
You mentioned Sloan. Luke Hoskins has been a really nice addition for them. He's an undrafted free agent. They seem to be, they're doing more of this, and the guys that they take, they stick around for a while. Luke Stoffel started one of the game. He was another one. We talked, 3 of them are off the Arizona Fall League in Lequarica, Frejio, and Serwa. And Hoskins, I don't know. I didn't really watch him pitch. I was just looking at his data a little bit. It's like a 93-mile-an-hour sinker, but in a curveball. That looks like all it's registered so far, but like 7 feet of extension.
Yeah.
So
pretty good control so far.
Yeah. If you're throwing strikes, that's a big deal to the Tigers. So that's good to see.
Yeah, and it kind of does just play into Zach Lee and picking up Patrick Lee last year. If you can find a guy out of indie ball that is better than someone in your system, take them. They just never used to do that. Yeah, never used to even seem to consider it. So
no.
And just touching back on the Clearwater series, which was it was actually kind of ugly. Like the first,
God, a lot of errors.
Yeah, and in the first game, Gabriel Reyes was in and out of. We live streamed that one, right?
Yeah,
and Gabriel Reyes was in and out of trouble all game, but still gave him 5 2/3,
90 pitches, like something like that.
Yeah, he laid it all on the line. Pinto had a double, and look at Hurtado had a double. Myers had 2 RBI, so it was they only gave up 1 run in that one, but the next game was gross. That was the. I'm looking. What was the score? Okay, so that was 7-5. There were 7 errors in that game.
Yeah.
21 hits, 7 errors. Let's see how many walks. That's always a good example too. But
not that many. Only 6.
No, 3. Yeah, only 6 walks. How about, let's see how many
hits
by pitch.
Oh no, Lakeland had
wild pitches though. Yeah.
Lakeland had a couple of the it was a grounder. Junior Tillian had an error. I think Rucker had an error.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
and they were just like ground balls that just couldn't glove. It was it got a little iffy there, I think. But they played, to their credit, they played basically flawless baseball against Daytona. So 1 win away for Lakeland, 1 win away for West Michigan. Could be having 2 championships tomorrow.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Erie starting their playoffs, and Toledo, they're playing.
Yeah,
but they're over 500.
They played a game.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've been fine. They had they have to deal with the Tigers issues, so it's different up there.
Yeah.
But it was kind of interesting, to have to play Altoona for Erie and then turn right around and play them again. So that was kind of interesting. I was just kind of like watching usage a little bit. Like, are they going to hold anybody back? Like, what are they? Are they just kind of going to go with it? Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed that, and we did a different pod for the Patreon people. We did discuss that Burhan and Sears, they both pitched shorter outings.
Yeah, they didn't let him go too long.
And it sounds like those are the first 2 starters, right? So.
Yeah, and that's by the way, it's Flaherty's going on Wednesday for the Tigers. So Mize, Flaherty, and Scooble will be.
Okay.
Thank you, Stan, for sending that over.
Yeah,
AJ just lined them up to get after it. Yeah, that's the best we got. So.
Yeah, get a couple wins against Cleveland and shut them down, and see if you can track down Toronto.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, get one of those top 2 spots. Get the extra 5-6 days of rest or whatever for Finnegan, for Scooble, for Herder, for Vierling, for everybody.
Yep.
Seawald, and
Yeah, I'll feel a lot better about their chances as long as they come through with that second spot. So hopefully they can do that. Hopefully they can put the Guardians business like behind them right now. Because if they go get swept or something, everybody's just going to be losing their freaking mind. And
yeah,
I've had enough. Had enough of that.
Yeah, I don't need this. I don't need this stress. I really don't.
Yeah.
it's the Guardians. They're supposed to be 71 and 78, and they're
I
78 and
know.
71. It's like, how are you doing this?
Meanwhile, the Tigers Pythagorean, they're like dead on. Like,
Yeah.
they're supposed to be this good, but
Cleveland, you lost your closer to gambling, and another one of your starters, and you just You got 3 hitters to keep winning.
yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, the 9 out of the last. Their winners the 9 out of the last effing 10. Man, I just
Got devil magic over there.
yeah.
Well,
So,
you know
what? It's Pedro Serrano. It's Joe Boo.
It could be. Well, I was looking. Who is it? Not to continue things, but the Rangers. They won. They're 7-3 in their last 10. But I think Seattle and Houston. Seattle went 9-1. So it's like
Yep.
and now they're chasing down Houston. So it's
Seattle finally hit the gas pedal late in the season, which
Yeah.
we really have just never seen them be able to do in a very long time. And I think I didn't see how bad it was, but apparently Jordan got hurt tonight again, and it's expected
Ankle.
to be out a while. Yeah, so not looking too good for the Astros. So I don't feel I feel like the Tigers are as good as anybody. Like maybe you can put the Blue Jays above them, but in the American League, it's just anybody's ball game. So you just want to get those advantages, like Chris said, of home field and hopefully the extra rest, and we'll take our chances.
Yeah, more jacuzzi. You want more of that jacuzzi time.
Yeah.
Or therapy or whatever you want to call it. But
Extra bullpens, some massages.
Yeah, all that stuff. So that being said, I think that will be called for the evening. Brandon, do you want to pimp anything else going on in Bless You Boys right now?
You can come on over and like cheer everybody up over there, because holy cow, it's just a misery fest in the game threads the last week or so. Again, everybody's just losing their mind, and you just kind of keep reminding people that like once you get to the postseason, like everything that's been happening kind of just all gets thrown out, and it's just a couple series, and you just take your chances. But it would be nice to see the Tigers show a little sign of swag here and finish with a little heat and cheer everybody up and get everybody looking a little bright-eyed and bushy-tailed going into the postseason. So I've got a piece coming. I don't know what time is it. It might get done for tomorrow morning, but just on Jahmai Jones and how good he's been, and what a force that is. So I've got that and a couple more pieces of analysis, and then we'll probably dive into looking at the Tigers' potential AL playoff opponents and do some of that stuff this week and next, and keep covering the team and see what happens.
Yeah, and for Chris is also another episode of Days of War. It's pretty much it's pretty much confirmed that you're the co-host.
Can we announce this? Yeah.
Can we announce this?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there needs to be some sort of official announcement with white smoke coming out of my chimney. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Like Evan just keeps asking me if you want to come back next week. I'm like, sure. So check those out if you want to. One of these days I'll get back on Motor City Metrics. I think it's been like a month since I've been there.
That's cool though. You and Evan is a really good team. I hope that keeps going. That's great.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like there was a certain element with Mark. There was a little bit more antagonism, not antagonism, but there was a little more clashing and argue. And I don't know. I just
Mark is a spark plug. He's an energy generator.
Yeah.
Sometimes positive, sometimes negative.
That's what. I think Raj and I never really disagree too much in the show.
Yeah, but
that's what we need. Chris, you full of shit. Yeah.
I think there's a difference between. I think the reason why people listen to us is whereas Chris is definitely more analytical, and I sometimes go with like guts or what I see sometimes. So
there's a good balance between you guys at that. Yeah, because there's like a nice completion that goes on.
Was that a Nickelodeon show?
What?
Guts.
Yeah, that was the
Guts and Goo.
Yeah, that was the kids. No, when the kids did the obstacle courses and all that stuff, and they ran up the mountain and all that. So
what I had never watched until the other day was competitive tag on like an obstacle course.
Oh yeah, that is so sweet.
That's like the greatest idea. I don't know why I never thought of that. I love
those guys they're like vaulting themselves through like little poles and it's nuts.
Parkour athletes playing tag.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, this is amazing. Somebody's gonna get hurt on those courses though. You guys be careful. You'll poke your eye out.
Especially the way they shift on their ankles, how they pivot. So like, I'm surprised they don't break an ankle.
Well, the damn thing is made of metal too. Like guys are diving everywhere, and there's metal bars everywhere.
Somehow they avoid getting concussion. I don't get it.
If anybody listens to the Huge, so I'll be on Huge again tomorrow at like 5:05 or something.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Not at 4:45.
Nowhere near when I'm getting off work. Damn it.
Short segments. Like as soon as you're out in the car, turn that thing on. Let's go.
Gotcha.
So I have
my dulcet tone some more.
There's we did this last week on one of the articles. We'll put all the YouTube links on there for everybody to check out our various all three of us are going to be. I'm writing an article for Headline. Wow, Table Roundtable, the app that's still in its infancy. There's going to be a couple articles that are going to bust out tomorrow. I did an article. There's an Erie Seawolves preview tomorrow or for game 1, and there'll be a Lakeland and West Michigan tomorrow when they get that. So Mike says we need more fighting in the podcast, maybe a cage match in the off season. You know what? Like I wouldn't mind bringing back that baseball game we used to play the dice.
Oh God, I forgot about that. I don't even know where that is.
I have it in my closet.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah, we'll do some fighting. Brandon. Like I've been saying, like we don't all agree. We all see things differently. Which is if we're all like. I think people wouldn't listen to us. So
I think it's just that we're generally relatively nice people. I think is what it comes down to. Even when our opinion's different, there's not that much like, hey, fuck you.
And thank you by the way. Yeah, I Cody and Kieran, those guys are awesome.
That was great. That was really fun listen. Maybe you should be the third man on there.
Yeah, except Austin Jackson's really good though. I love Austin Jackson. Yeah,
I do like Austin. Yeah.
I was waiting to hear him, and he wasn't on that one. But was he just hanging in the background?
Jubilee Chris Brown versus 20 Max Stands.
I probably can't take one of them. They're furious and young.
They're scrappy. I know they've got energy.
Yeah. I'm old and losing my hair.
You come right for the ankles.
Just a random note. I was just looking that Dylan Dingler has made the first page on Fangraphs. He is now 30th in F WAR right now. If you lower the plate appearances to 400.
Yeah, that's
ding.
The reason why I mentioned Dingler earlier on my baseball reference war because he's going to be part of the breaking down one of my player breakdown as part of my 2 articles tomorrow. So
sweet.
But stay classy, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Have a good night, everybody, and stay safe.
And also clean up the sexual harassment, Tiger.
Do your job, damn it.
Do it together, Illich.